All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. I'm Patrick. I'm going to be your host, along with Larissa and Melanie for this Mastering the Basics course. If this is your first time attending one of our Mastering the Basics, we're going to cover a very entry-level explanation of what Lucidpress is, how to make the most of it, and how to navigate the platform. We will not today be diving into the editor or showing export options. Those things are covered in our future Mastering the Basics Part 2 and our advanced Mastering the Basics Part 3 webinars coming up in June. So again, I'm Patrick, and Larissa Rowe will also be hosting, and we have Melanie as well joining our team to help answer questions in chat. We would encourage you to feel free to log in and follow along in Lucidpress, though it's not required to participate in the webinar. Now, one of the things we always like to talk about right up front, if this is your first time logging into Lucidpress, you may have gotten an invite email from your admin or team members to join their team in Lucidpress. And if you follow that link, it's going to prompt you to log in with your email as a username. And you may have to say, I forgot my password, to reset or create a password if you've never created one. However, if your admin team has created a password in advance, they may have sent that along in a separate email. You'll use your email and that password to log into Lucidpress. Finally, if your team is set up SSO, you may just follow the Lucidpress link and immediately be logged into the Lucidpress platform. So I'll give just 1 second for anyone who wants to log in and follow along to do that, and then we'll continue moving forward.
And while you're getting logged in, and before we get started, who wants a free sticker? So we are going to give away 5 stickers to the first 5 people to follow Lucidpress on Instagram. So there's our handle down there at Lucidpress, and then the QR code up in the right-hand corner. So go ahead and jump on, follow us, and at the end, we will reach out to you to let you know if you were one of our winners.
Awesome, thanks, Larissa. So today we're going to be covering terminology in Lucidpress, making sure you have a good understanding of the different terms you'll be hearing, how to navigate the platform, and some additional resources. One of the early things I like to cover in these Mastering the Basics, though, is what Lucidpress is and hopefully why you're here to use it. Now, if you're a member of the design or marketing team, for you, Lucidpress is a way to remove some of those last-minute requests for collateral to help allow those folks who are using your designs to have quicker and better access to them. If you're what we call an end user, someone who's consuming these products, what it's going to do is allow you to customize professionally designed, marketed, and on-brand documents and templates and get those much more quickly and out into the folks who need to have them. So we always like to start with terminology and make sure everyone understands some of these key terms. So whenever you join a shared organizational account, that is, you accept an invite from an admin or your team to join an account, you're joining the team account. So think of the team, again, as everyone joining that shared organizational account. Everyone's going to join as a user. A user is the base level of access to the platform, and that's how most people who experience Lucidpress. They'll join as a user, customize the templates that have been shared to them, and then be able to export those out to the world. Now, your admin team are users who've been promoted by the account owner to various admin roles, and they can also create groups within the team. Think of groups as a distribution list. If your admin team wants to share out a template to a specific group rather than everyone on the team, they can do that. They create the team, add members to it, and those members then can be shared documents or templates selectively. Now, you're going to hear us talk a lot today about documents and templates. When you think about templates, these are pre-designed marketing collateral that has been left with various aspects editable or customizable. You'll make a copy of a template that then becomes a document in your private documents folder where you'll customize and make that own. You can also create original or starter documents if that's been allowed by your admin team and build those out from scratch in Lucidpress. So let's talk a little bit about navigating the platform, and I'm going to switch to a demo account so we can look at it live. So the first time you log into Lucidpress, this is very much the screen you'll see. It should say your name across the top, or perhaps your email if that's the way you were added to the team. And you may see this upper left-hand corner reflecting your organizational name and logo, or it may just say Lucidpress, depending on how far into the implementation process your team is. Now I'm going to point out things on this screen that are both important to end users, and remember that's anyone joining the platform at the base level, but also important to members of the admin team. The first time you log in, you may not see any of these thumbnails you see here, and that's because those will populate over time with documents that you've worked on. And those are individual to the user. So as a user, documents I open will begin to populate here, and I can quickly jump back into those if I was working on something previously. If I look at the starred tab, that's going to show me any templates that I've marked as favorites or starred. You can mark templates in the brand assets or brand template section as favorites or starred and quickly jump back to them rather than searching through the templates that are available to you. Now, this next tab has value both to users and the admin team, and it's one I always like to point out. The popular tab is going to show you which templates across the entire team are most frequently being used. As a user, if you're looking to see which templates your peers are using in case you've missed one, this is a great way to see that. As an admin, if you want to know what 5 or 6 templates are most frequently being used, you can click on this tab, and remember, it'll show you the compiled data for the entire team. So these would reflect everyone in the team, which ones they're using most often. So that's a really helpful way to start looking and see how your templates are doing. On the upper right-hand corner, we'll see a couple other different options. 2 that I want to point out are the bell, which alerts you when anything's been shared, you have comments or otherwise waiting, and you can see the number of alerts I have here. And the question mark, which will bring up additional data on what's new in Lucidpress or links to different videos and help centers. Everywhere you go in Lucidpress will be navigated down this left-hand navigation bar. One of the early tips I try to point out is that it will collapse as you're working in Lucidpress. And if you're not familiar with the icons, it can disrupt your flow a little bit. Just know in the bottom left-hand corner, you can expand or collapse that as needed. Again, everyone's going to land on the home page, which you see here. And usually their first stop will be to go to templates. We're going to hold off on that and talk about each of these different options. And then we'll come up and talk a little bit more about documents and templates. Documents, again, are where your copies of any template you're working on live, or any original documents you've started from scratch and are building at. No one is ever going to see your documents unless you share them with another user or an admin, or you have to submit them for approval before they go out to the world. Templates are where your admin team is going to be able to customize and build out pre-existing marketing templates that can cover a variety of use cases. These are where you'll come, find the template you want to use, make your own copy of it, and start customizing. Images are where you're going to be able to upload any images you want to use to customize the document, and where you'll see a collection of any images your admin team has put together and shared with you. Brand assets are where your admin team can add brand colors, brand fonts, and edit text styles as well. Data automation is an advanced feature we won't cover today. Just know that your admin team has the capability of tying a Google Sheet into Lucidpress and pulling a host of data directly into documents from that. Now, the admin tab is an interesting tab. It's only going to be visible and available to account owners and anyone promoted up to the team admin or above. So don't worry if you log in and you don't see the admin tab. The reason for that is when we click on the admin tab, it'll open up a new suite of tools where we can customize the way our users will interact and interface with Lucidpress. Account is your specific individual user account information. There is one thing I'd like to point out in this, and that is the ability to customize some of your user smart fields. So if we click on smart fields here, we'll see a variety of information that's pre-populated for us, as well as some fields that we can populate ourselves. Just know that your admin team can create templates and documents with these smart fields inserted. And when you open it, it will look for this information in your account. If you don't have it in there, don't worry, Lucidpress will prompt you to fill out that information. Cart is where you'll be able to check out any print orders that you have pending. If you are ordering prints through our print partner, Alexander's, these will show up there. Or if your admin team has worked with us to purchase a print integration, you can look at those there as well, or in the print portal option. You're never going to see the restore admin feature. That is a function of me impersonating an account, in this case, my test account. The last tab is probably one of the most important that we'll share with you today in Lucidpress navigation, and that's the Help Center. If you click on the Help Center tab, it's going to open up our Help Center or resource library, where you can search for any feature that you want to use in Lucidpress. and find articles and videos and tips on how to use that. Just as important, however, you can scroll down from the top to see a variety of resources. One of the most useful is our videos and resources. If we click on this and select down to videos, we'll see all of the most recent webinars and training videos that Lucidpress has published, where you can watch previous Mastering the Basics, advanced features, and a variety of other use cases in Lucidpress. So this is a great resource to get started with the platform. So we're going pretty quickly covering some of those initial navigation tools. Have any questions popped up, Larissa, or answered?
No, I haven't had any questions come through, which must mean you're doing a fantastic job explaining everything.
Perfect. Just a reminder, you can ask your questions in the chat channel. And Larissa and Melanie will either answer them there in chat or voice those out loud to me as we look through the next steps. So we covered quite a bit, and before we talk about takeaways, I want to review some of that initial resources, and then we're going to talk more about documents and templates. So again, the first time anyone logs into Lucidpress, they'll land on the home page. Typically, your users will go to templates first, where they'll look for a variety of brand templates that have been put in place and make their own copy of those. They'll do that by hitting new and then naming their copy, and they'll immediately be able to begin customizing that copy of the template. All copies of templates you've made will live in your documents folder, where no one else is ever going to see those unless you share them out to the rest of the world. Now you'll note in my documents folder, I have a variety of subfolders built out. They'll cover that in Mastering the Basics Part 2, but just know that you can customize and sort your documents for easy finding and searching later. Images are where you're going to upload any images that you want to be able to work with within Lucidpress, or see any images that have been shared with you by your admin team. They can create a variety of stock folders of images and share those out for use to customize your documents and templates. Brand assets are where you're going to see your ability to add brand colors. Brand images is really a misnomer. That should be brand logos or icons, because brand images will go out to the entire team, which again is everyone on the shared organizational account. And this is where you can pull a variety of those logos. Brand fonts are fonts that meet your brand standard. Once those are uploaded, everyone who logs onto this team will have access to those fonts to customize their documents or templates. Brand smart fields are a way for you to create those team smart fields, which everyone will have access to, and we talked about that a bit earlier. Brand settings covers some of the advanced and admin settings, which we look at in Mastering the Basics Part 2, and customizing Lucidpress is where your account owners can customize this upper left-hand corner. Data automation is that advanced feature that allows admins to pull in a Google Sheet where they can use that data to populate in various documents and templates. Admin will only show up for your admins and account owners so that they can customize the way users experience Lucidpress. Account is your personal individual user account information, where you'll be able to customize your own smart fields and see your own information. Cart is where you're going to be able to see any print orders that you have pending through our current print partner, Alexander's, or if your team has purchased a print integration with another print partner. Print portal only comes into play if you have the print integration in place. Otherwise, you won't have to worry about that. You'll never see restore admin. And again, the help center is where you're going to be able to go and search for all things Lucidpress, as well as watch videos of previous Mastering the Basics and get a variety of your questions answered.
Hey, Patrick.
Yes.
Can you go back into your brand assets and go over how to add a new font again?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we click on fonts, we'll see the option to add font. And I do want to point out that Lucidpress only allows TTF or OTF fonts. We would click that. It prompts us to find the file that font exists in and then load it into Lucidpress. Once you make it a brand font, everyone will have access to that and be able to use it. It's important to note, though, that only your admins can add brand fonts. Individual users won't have the ability to do that. Great question. Any other questions? I know we've covered a lot of information relatively quickly, but I want to make sure to answer any of those.
Not any additional so far. We did get a request though for you to go through adding the font again.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're an admin, you're going to navigate from the home page down to brand assets. And brand assets, you'll see the option to add colors, add images, or add fonts. We're going to click on the fonts tab where we can see across the top the specifications of what the font files need to be. Then we see this little kind of grayed out plus arrow where we can choose to add a new font. As soon as we click on that, it's going to open up our PC or whatever device we're working on, where we can search for that particular font file that we have saved somewhere. Again, noting that OTF or TTF fonts are what it's looking for. Once we open it, Lucidpress will then add it to the platform as a brand font, and everyone who joins the shared team account will have access to that font when editing or customizing their documents.
Hey, Patrick, question that came in. Can admins add and use fonts that are not included in the brand fonts?
Absolutely. So that will be covered in Mastering the Basics Part 2 more. But if you're in a document and editing it, you'll have the ability to add or upload a custom font that will not be available to the entire team. It's important to note that if you do that, certainly you can work with that because you uploaded the font. But if you go to share that document or that file with anyone else in the platform, if they don't have that font loaded as well, they're going to see either several dark black boxes, which is a system saying that they don't have access to that font, or it might even give them a bunch of red outlines that let them know, hey, you're missing a font, and ask them to upload it. But certainly you can always add your custom fonts to work on while you're in the editor in Lucidpress.
Awesome. And then another question, now they're coming in. For the images section, does Lucidpress have general stock photos, or are those only the ones our admins add or what we add?
That is a great question. So Lucidpress starts with no photos added to it. So the first time you log in, if you go to My Images, you likely won't see anything. And if you're early in the account, your admin team may not have added images. However, Lucidpress does have integrations for Bing Search and Unsplash. Unsplash is great because you can search for copyright-free, professional level photos that you can then use in Lucidpress to customize or edit your documents. Please note that your admin team has the ability to turn off those integrations or limit their functionality. So you may be limited just to the images you add or images that have been shared with you. You can add images from your device just by hitting add and then either choosing the images from your device or an entire folder of images to add directly to Lucidpress. Once you have those images, you can start using them immediately to customize documents and templates. Another quick note about images, you don't need a copy of an image to see it in a template that's been shared with you. So if an admin team member designs a template and it has various images in it, you don't need a separate copy of those to see them. You only need a copy of an image if you want to swap it out for something that exists in a document or template already.
Great. And Patrick, can you go over adding a PDF to documents? How to import those?
So we're going to go to images and we're going to choose to add, and we'll see that we can add pages from a PDF. Now we should note that when Lucidpress uploads a PDF, it's uploading it as a flat image, not as an editable PDF. So while you can bring in individual pages or multiple pages of a PDF, when they get loaded into Lucidpress, they will be treated as a flat image. And then you of course can layer over those or add different shapes or text boxes around or over the top of those in Lucidpress. And again, that's from the Images tab, from the navigation page. We're going to choose to add, and we see a variety of different options that we can add then, one of which is pages from a PDF. These are great questions, guys. Please keep them coming in. Happy to answer all of these.
Awesome. We've got another one. If you could go over the Unsplash and Bing integrations again, how do you enable and disable those?
Great. So those are going to be achieved by the admin tab, which we're not going to open and dive into today. Just note that your admin team can choose to turn those on or off. And you can also click the Add Integrations button to see what other integrations are available. If those are turned on, when you go to Images, you'll actually see Bing and Unsplash, and you can click and start the search process for various Unsplash images or Bing images right there. And those will all populate. And then you're basically going to click on those to add them to your image library. And then you can start to customize or add those to Lucidpress. Now, I do want to note that, again, I mentioned that your team can create stock image folders. And you see I've created a variety of folders here just for test purposes. These are my folders. And if you see the icon here, that means I've shared them out to someone. Under shared with me, I'll see all of the image folders that have been shared from another user to me, including any images that my admin team has shared out for me to use for stock photos. They can also separate those shared images into a variety of folders and subfolders. What they can't do is add tags to those. I'll be able to search by the name of the image or the name of the folder, but I won't be able to use the tags feature to search through those.
I have a great question that came in. Once an admin shares a template, do the photos within the template become brand images?
That is a fantastic question. They do not actually. So once an admin creates a template and then they share it out to the team, the photos in that image will show up for the team member. If I were to hit new and make a copy of this template, I would immediately get access to those images, but they don't show up either in brand images or in my personal image library. Now, because I'm using my test account, you see those images here. I created those and brought them in. However, if I were a user who was sharing this account, I wouldn't have any of these photos loaded, but I could still see them and have access to them in the template or the document that I'm working on. But for example, if I were to open this and delete that image out of the document I was working, I wouldn't have a separate copy saved under my images to add it back in there. What other questions do we have? These are great questions. While we wait for some additional questions, I do want to cover a couple other things. I know in the beginning we talked quickly about the first time logging in. Just know that as an admin, when you add users, there are a variety of options to add users, one of which is via CSV. And in that case, you can pre-populate a temporary or beginning password for users to have so that their first experience logging into Lucidpress is following that link, using the password you've given them and their email as the login. If you don't do that, it's fine. Just know that their first experience will be logging in with that email and then choosing to say, I forgot my password, so they can create or reset one. And then again, the third option, if your organization has set up single sign-on with Lucidpress, then their first experience will be just following the link and then being directly logged into Lucidpress. Any other questions, Melanie or Larissa, that have come in? Anything you guys would like me to recover? I know that we cover quite a bit of information quickly in this. We will share the recording out once it's done for everyone that attended or that registered for the training. And we will also be having Mastering the Basics Part 2 coming up in June.
Okay.
Remember,
I did have a good question come in. If you delete an image from your image manager, does it remove it from the document too?
oh my gosh, that is a fantastic question. If you have uploaded an image in your personal image library and you've created either documents or if you're an admin, created templates with that image in it and shared it out. If I were to go in and delete this image now, it would remove it from any documents and any templates that I've shared out. Instead, it would show a grayed out box saying the image is missing. And of course, users could replace that image with anything else, but it will in fact remove that image from all documents and all templates in Lucidpress. That's a super great question. One of the things that we always recommend as an admin or account owner, when you start to create these shared image folders, make sure that either you as the account owner or an admin that you designate is going to be the one to manage and control those image folders for that very reason. If you delete them later, it's going to remove them from all the documents and templates they're in. And of course, they can be replaced, but it can take a while and it can throw some confusion into the use of Lucidpress with that. I do want to point out again that the Help Center is a fantastic resource in Lucidpress to go to when you first dive in. You'll go down to the end of the navigation page, click on the Help Center link, and again, bring up our entire resource library for all things Lucidpress, where you can search for various features, including images or how to load specific fonts, and see a variety of options for those. You can also scroll down from the main page to get to videos and resources, as well as some of the other links. But I highly recommend our videos link as a way to get you started in learning advanced features in Lucidpress, or if you're not able to attend the next Mastering the Basics, being able to look for some of those there as well.
Patrick, we had one question asking, is there a limit to how many users can be added?
That's a fantastic question. So the only limit to adding users to Lucidpress is the number of licenses you have access in Lucidpress. So every user takes up one of your assigned licenses that you purchase, and that gives them the access then to any templates that have been shared and the ability to open up the editor in Lucidpress and customize and make use of that. I do want to point out that we have part 2 coming up in June, where we'll actually open up a template, start customizing it, and walk through the editor in Lucidpress as well.
Beatrice is wondering, as real estate agents, do they have the rights to use the stock pictures if they are available in their Lucidpress from Unsplash?
So all of the Unsplash images are copyright free and free to use. I don't believe there are any special regulations for real estate, though that may be something to talk to your admin or account manager about if that's not you.
I know some of you are also wondering or adding in the chat the link to sign up for part 2. So just look in the chat. I'm going to throw our little bit.ly link in there. You can click on that to go into the registration page, and it'll be the same process. You'll be able to sign up. You'll get a reminder in the link, and you'll get to attend that webinar.
So not to jump the gun on Larissa or Melanie, but I did see a question about, is there additional support in Lucidpress? So you see the get support option here at the Help Center. So you can click on that and email our support team to ask questions or get additional support in working with a document. Depending on what level of account you have in Lucidpress, your team may have a CSM like Larissa or myself assigned to assist you in Lucidpress should you have any questions. I did see one question on export options in Lucidpress, and I don't want to dive into that too much now because that'll be covered in detail in Mastering the Basics Part 2. Just know that there are a variety of ways to export your final document out of Lucidpress. Some of that is up to what your admin team allows. One of the great things about Lucidpress from a designer or account owner perspective is that you can inherently limit some of what your team has access to, whether it's various image integrations, locking down specific aspects of a template or a document, or limiting the ways they can export the final product out of Lucidpress.
And a great question that came in from Paula is also how to find a tutorial video. She has a very specific use case and wants to really get in there now, but I think showing people where they can find those tutorial videos is super helpful.
Yeah, so my recommendation is always start here at the search bar in Lucidpress and start searching for whatever it is. So without diving in too much, let's say you really want to find out how to use various locking features in Lucidpress. You can type up that and immediately see that we have a variety of articles that cover locking, as well as community asked and answered questions in Lucidpress for that particular use case. And locking is a pretty simple thing to look for, but it's just a good example that you can click on these and see a variety of step-by-step integrations for how to use and make use of that particular aspect of it, as well as go to the video library and search for any of those most recent use cases. In addition, if you are part of a team that has a CSM assigned, you can always reach out to them as well, or the support team to have some additional guidance or questions answered. So again, Mastering the Basics Part 2 will be Wednesday, June 16th. We will send out the registration for that, just like we did for this, so you can register for that opportunity. And that's it, unless we have some additional questions. We're still a little bit ahead of schedule, so I am happy to continue answering questions. Or we're happy to give you back a little bit of time in your day. So in the last minute, I'll give another minute for questions to come in. I'll just quickly refresh again. From the home page, should be your name across the top or your email. These 3 bars are available to everyone. Recent is very personal. It's only going to show what the user sees. Starred, again, is very personal. If you as a user don't mark any favorites, there'll never be any there. Popular is reflective of the entire team. Team is the shared organizational account. everyone who joins your account is part of your team. You can view a variety of options in the upper left-hand corner up here, including any alerts that have come through. Click the question mark to see additional resources and links to other resources in Lucidpress. You're going to navigate everywhere you go in Lucidpress down this left-hand bar, but I should note that when you open up the editor, it will open a new tab. So it'll be working in a separate tab when you're in the editor, just like when you open up the Resource Center, it opens up a new tab in Lucidpress.
Paula is wondering if you can go back to the templates tab and show how you can save it as a new document so that it can be customized.
Absolutely. So when we click on the templates tab, we're going to see any of the templates that have been created by our designer marketing team. When we mouse over those, we see two options, to preview or to hit new. Preview is just going to give us a look of what that template looks like. As soon as we hit new, it's either going to prompt us to name it or it's going to create an immediate new copy and open it up in the editor. So while that's loading, so again, as soon as I hit new, it's either going to open up the editor for me to start working in it, or it's going to prompt me to name it and then open up a copy. I'll then immediately find all those copies here, and I can see whatever I name them as, and I can add them to various folders or documents. It doesn't look like the editor is going to load, and that's okay. We'll cover a lot of that in Mastering the Basics Part 2. But just know, as soon as you do that, you now have your own copy. Whatever you've named it as, you'll be able to work on it there, as well as change the name in the editor as well. And I know they cover that a lot in Mastering the Basics Part 2. And you can always go back to My Documents then to see all copies that you've made of those templates.
Got a few questions coming in, Patrick. Question about the print portal. Is this only shown for admins and not for users?
It will show up for both admins and users if it's been integrated. I don't believe it shows up for users if you don't have a print portal integration.
All right, and Varsha has a question. If I accidentally deleted a file, can I recover it?
Oh, that's a great question. So in most cases at the enterprise level, Lucidpress has unlimited storage. When you first purchase the account, you can find out what level you're at if you're an account owner. If you have a CSM, you're typically at the enterprise level and they have unlimited storage. So I would always caution you against deleting documents. If you do delete a document and we hit the delete button, Lucidpress isn't going to warn us that it's deleting it. It's just going to remove it. I can then go to my trash and find that and restore it for up to 7 days. At the end of 7 days, that document is gone forever and is irrecoverable. Now that's a small issue. If you're a user who just made a quick copy of a template, accidentally deleted it, you can go grab a new copy and start building. It's more of an issue if you've been working on a 7, 10, or 20-page document that really took some time and you deleted it and then it gets lost forever. So I would caution you against deleting things unless you really intend to. And note, we have no control over that 7-day window. It's just a feature of Lucidpress to empty that trash for you. All right, guys, that looks like most of the questions have come in. I do want to thank you for attending Mastering the Basics Part 1. I know some of you were hoping that we would dive into templates in the editor, but believe me, that's best served for Mastering the Basics Part 2, where we really get to do a deep dive into editing and customizing our first documents. I would encourage you to continue to reach out to Lucidpress. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team. And thank you for joining us today. Take care, everyone.